All right, so this has to do with volume and surface area. So we're going to pick some three-dimensional shapes out here, and I'm going to find both. If you find there's not enough room, you can do your work on another piece of paper if there's not enough room to do the work here. Is number one in the template of a pyramid or a prism? Number one. And the answer is it is a special prism because the bases are the same, right? This special prism is called a cylinder. How do you find the volume of a prism? Is the area of one base. What shape is one base? A circle. How do you find the area of a circle? Pi r squared. And the radius, be careful here. What's the radius? 2. So be careful of the information given. And then you take the area of the base times the height. The height is the distance between the bases. What's the height of that cylinder? It's on its side. What's the height? There you go. And it says round your answers to the nearest hundredth. So if I gave you the exact answer, it'd be 4 times 3, which is 12 pi miles squared, the biggest cylinder you've ever seen. Then the approximate answer to the nearest hundredth, which is 2 decimal places, would be 12 pi, is 37.7. That's approximate. Miles, oh, I did squared. What should I do for volume? What mistake did I make? Cubed, right? For volume. Now, for the surface area, I'm going to tell you a cylinder has a special formula for surface area. It's different than the other one. So I'm going to write it down right now. So the surface area of a cylinder is 2 pi r squared. Can you see why it's 2 pi r squared? Pi r squared is one circle. 2 pi r squared are the bases, right? The two circles. Plus, it's the circumference, 2 pi r, times the height. That's that rectangle that makes what's called the lateral area. The belly of the cylinder is 2 pi r h. 2 pi r is the circumference times the height. Base times height, if you unraveled the belly of that cylinder. Now we're just going to type it into our calculator. So the radius is 2. So wherever there's an r, we put in 2. And we said the height is 3. So use your calculator. We're just going to do the approximate answer. So 2 pi, 2 squared, plus 2 pi times 2 times 3. So what is the approximate surface area of the whole cylinder? 62.8. And for surface area, what do we do with the unit? We square it. So volume, we cube it. Area, you see that word area in it? It's squared. All right, let's do number 2. Do you know what name we give number 2? First, do you recognize it's a prism? It is. All the non-base sides are rectangles. What's the shape of the base that you see right in front of you? A trapezoid. The name we give this is trapezoidal prism. Name from the base, right? Trapezoidal. How do I find the volume? Is the area of the base. How do I find the area of a trapezoid? 1/2. What are the two bases? One base of the trapezoid is 5. Look real carefully. What's the other base of the trapezoid? 9. The height, you see this arrow that's pointing to the height? What's the height of that trapezoid? 4.6. So it's the area of the base times the height. Now, for a prism, height is, what's the distance between the trapezoids, the bases? What distance do you go between the two bases? And I circled it. It's 6. Use your calculator. So 0.5, 5 plus 9 times 4.6 times 6. So what is the approximate volume? Actually, it's the exact volume. This decimal doesn't go on forever. The exact volume is 193.2. And because it's volume, it's yards cubed. How do I find the surface area of a trapezoidal prism? What do you think? Who do you need?
I just wanted to know, do you want the...
You can say hi to my video. You're going to be famous now.
Okay. Do you want... That's pre-calculus.
Oh, for the code? Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Surface area. I have to be able to find the area of each face and add them up. Now, some of these faces are the same size, right? So we're going to think together. So do you see the trapezoids? There's two of them that are the same size. And to find the area of the trapezoid, we just did that up here, right? That's 1/2 5 plus 9 times 4.6. So that's the trapezoid. And how many trapezoids do we have? Two of them. What other shapes do we have other than trapezoids that make up this prism? Rectangles. Now, we have two shapes for the rectangles. One, you see up here, in fact, maybe three of them. The top rectangle, what size is it? 6 by 9. The bottom rectangle, what size is it? 5 by 6. You have to look real carefully, right, to know where the information is. Do you see how the bottom rectangle is 5, and you have to look above to recognize the depth of it, which is 6? And then the rectangles on the right and the left. So we have 5 by 6 again. And on the left we have 5 by 6 as well. All right, that's what we're going to put in our calculator. Those are all the sides added up. And I get 208.4, and this would be yards squared. The trapezoidal prism is going to be the most work. Some of them is not a lot of work. Like number 3. What shape is number 3? 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, everywhere. Sam, what's the shape for number 3? A cube. Do you know to find the volume of a cube, you take one side and all you have to do is cube it. 5 times 5 times 5, and you have your answer. For the surface area, how many faces make up a cube? And you know this because you play games with dice. So when you roll a die, so how many faces are there? Obviously, 6 of them. And each face is a square. So one of the faces is 5 squared, right? And how many faces altogether? 6. So it's 6 times 5 squared. So the surface area is 150 inches squared. Let's look at number 4. It's really thin, but do you know what shape this is called? A rectangular prism. To find the volume, it's the base times the length times the width, or length times width times height, which is really the area of the base times the height. What's the dimensions of the box? Order doesn't matter. 2 times 8 times 12. So when you have a box, you multiply each dimension together, right, to find its volume. Length times width times height. So 2 times 8 times 12. That's 192. And we're going to cube it for volume. To find the surface area, we have a bunch of different rectangles. So one rectangle is 8 by 2, and I have 2 of those. Another rectangle is 12 by 8, and I have 2 of them. And one more rectangle is 12 by 2, and I have 2 of those. So in a rectangular prism, those rectangles always come in pairs. We're going to put that in our calculator. That's 272 meters squared. Number 6. Number 6 is called a triangular prism. Can you see the triangle? To find the volume, it's the area of the base. Now for the triangular prism, it's the area of the triangle. Notice this 90. It's 6 and 8 that meet at 90. That's the triangle, times the height of the prism. So if I take the 2 triangles, what's the distance between the 2 triangles? And that is 5. That gives me the volume. That's 120 yards cubed. The area of the base times the height of the prism. The surface area, we have the bases. There's 2 of them. And we have rectangles. So one rectangle is 6 by 5. Another rectangle is 10 by 5. And another one is 5 by 8. Surface area is going to be more challenging to compute. So the 2 bases and then all the rectangles. So that's 168 yards squared. So you can see you have others to practice. Oh, for these it just said find the volume. I was just being painful, right? Doing both. So it says find the volume. Here it says find the surface area. But that's okay. We practice both, so you can do both. You just practice what you need until you know how to do the work. What's different about 29? 29 is not a prism. What is 29? A pyramid. To find the volume of a pyramid, it's the area of the base, which is a triangle, half the base. Notice where the 90 degree is on the bottom. That's the area of the base times the height, which is 8, but then because it's a pyramid, you have to divide the end answer by 3. That's the difference, the divided by 3 part. So 0.5 times 6 times 8 times 8 divided by 3. So the volume of that pyramid is 64 yards cubed. The area of the base times the height divided by 3. What happened? Nope. I'm almost done, though. Well, I appreciate you saying it right now at the end, right? If it's an emergency, you just go. But I was going to give you 5 minutes. Okay? What's 31? What shape is it? How do you find the volume of a cone? is the area of the base, which is a circle. Notice 8 describes the diameter, which is pi r squared. So the radius is 8, so that's, or the diameter is 8, so the radius is 4. So the area of the circle times the height. But I have to divide the end answer by 3 because it's in the form of a pyramid. So we're going to round this one at 201.1. And that's kilometers cubed because we found the volume. (32). How would you find the volume in 32? Do you recognize it's a pyramid? What shape is the bottom of that pyramid? A square. How do you find the area of the base? The area of the square is 8 squared. And what's the height of the pyramid? 6. And then what do you do with the pyramid at the end? Divide it by 3. That's it. So it's 128 yards cubed. The area of the base times the height of the pyramid divided by 3. Let's turn the page. 42. For these you have to find surface area. The surface area of a cone has a special formula, so I wanted to write it down. The surface area of a cone is pi r squared plus pi r L. And that L represents the slanted height of the cone. So not the perpendicular height, but the slanted height. So in this example, the radius is 10. And do you notice 22.4 is the slanted height of that cone? And that's what I need for surface area. I need the perpendicular height to find the volume and the slanted height to find the surface area. And then type it in. What did I do? Oh, let's try it again. So the approximate surface area is 1,017.9 inches squared. All right, there is more for you to practice in those concepts: area, perimeter, volume, and surface area. And there'll be a quiz on those concepts on Thursday. And as you go through Alex, you now have a foundation to work from. All right, Mr. G Math over.